Welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall, and we're about halfway through day one, split format Pro Tour for the first time. They played 4 rounds of Standard this morning, and we're going to talk about what the best decks were, etc. But now they just booster drafted, and the players are actually sitting down to do 3 rounds of booster draft. Day 2 is going to be determined by these 3 rounds. Got to get to 4 and 3 in these first 7 rounds today if you want to keep playing Magic tomorrow. Tomorrow it's a draft, and then 4 more rounds with the Standard decks they ran this morning. What's the headline for you? Standard, I don't know if it's in the books, but we got through the 4 rounds this morning. What's the big story?
Certainly the day 1 headline is that the boat is still afloat.
The boat brew.
Yeah, boat brew has just dominated day 1 so far. Right? It's the most played archetype in the tournament.
Yeah, it was fully like 26% of the field.
And what, 40% of those?
Like 41% of the 9-0s. So the stats are 98 copies of that deck in the tournament. That's almost twice as many as any other archetype.
Wow.
So 26% of the field, and 22 players managed to go 4-0 this morning. Fully 9 of them are running the boat brew. So almost half of the undefeateds. I think that's 41% if you do the math.
So just a gang of siege gangs at the top. And
it is.
Siege gangs, Revel Arcs.
I mean, that's remarkable if you think about it. To come in as the #1 deck, and often, you know, everyone knew. It was no surprise. Like, we were talking about it in the opening. You know, maybe this could be the most played deck. People were audibling into decks that could beat it, but it goes from 26% of the field to 41% of the top. I think that's remarkable.
Red White Kithkin is apparently the deck to play if you are aiming at that 26% of the field.
That's definitely what people are saying. I mean, if you look at the field, there was a cluster of 4 decks that were in the like 10 to 20% range. So you had 5-color Control was actually the second most played deck. Fairies was third. Blightning and Kithkin are the other 2 decks. So there's your sort of your next cluster of 4 decks. Now, of those, Kithkin clearly the winner. 4 of the undefeateds were running a Kithkin deck. Some of them red-white, some of them mono-white.
Sure.
Clearly the winner. The loser out of those 4? Fairies. Only 1 of the 22 undefeateds is running a Fairies deck.
I imagine all those Red-White Kithkin decks, all those Red-White Boat Brew decks have Volcanic Fallout, which is just a brutal card for that deck.
I don't think the Kithkin decks can run it. It's double red. Your red in the Kithkin deck is a Johnny, maybe an Incinerate, probably a Banefire.
A lot of times the red, that's true. A lot of times the red in the Kithkin deck is simply from Bog Fanatic.
A Johnny is by far the most common splash I've seen. I have not seen
You
Bog
can
Fanatic.
just range reveal stuff from Bog Fanatic because you have
That's the boat brew. That's the boat brew, not the Kithkin.
I've seen it in Kithkin too. It's Yoshi Fujita Kithkin deck.
Yoshi Fujita, fine.
Bog Fanatic, so he can kill
the
Still Moon Cavaliers.
Fair enough. The typical, I actually thought we did a deck tech with Gindy, and his deck looks very vulnerable to pro-white creatures to me. Basically, the only way you can kill him is a couple Banefires that come in from the sideboard. So you definitely see, and you know, we're talking about 2 red-white archetypes, the Boat Brew, the Kithkin deck, there's 1 and 2. They're both red-white. Like, clearly that's what you wanted to be playing at this tournament. But now how aggro, how control-ish. The only other deck that was in even 5% of the field, black-white tokens, by the way. And you've got a pretty big diversity of undefeated decks. There's a Rafik the Many deck that went undefeated, a black-green elves deck, mono-white tokens, black-white tokens. You know, there's definitely some diversity.
Yeah, and some big names that went undefeated.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about Gabrielle Massif. 22-time Pro Tour top 8 competitor.
Maybe 30.
30-something. He is undefeated playing 5-color Control deck.
Yep.
That has some little surprises and wrinkles of its own coming up. That's a pretty exciting deck, and we're going to give you a deck hack on that. I think you did that.
Tomorrow, yeah.
That you're going to see tomorrow, and it is super exciting. I think this is finally the best take on 5-color Control.
Yeah, I'll buy that. It was good.
Shu Kamara won Pro Tour Kobe. He's the 2nd Pro Tour Kobe champion. Brian Kowal, the man responsible for making Boat Brew such a force right now in the metagame, is undefeated at 4-0.
Yeah. So what's the story? This is where the deck's name comes from, right?
Right. This was a deck that Brian Kowal he saw a version of the deck somewhere else that's maybe
Sylvan L'Oreal in Germany had
6, 7, 8 cards off. I'm not sure what the right number is. Sees it, makes some adjustments to it, and then brews it for a cruise qualifier. There was the Magic Cruise that took place a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
He played in a qualifier, qualified to go on the cruise.
Won himself a trip on the cruise.
It got dubbed the Boat Brew.
Yeah, brewed it up to win a trip on the boat. Why not?
And BK's just continued to win with the deck 4-0 today.
Yeah, I think it's great to see him there. I mean, he's the deck builder. He's a guy better known for building decks really than playing them. And he's been producing this awesome stream of technology over the years. But now here he is with his deck. It's his deck's tournament, and he's winning with it too. I mean, it's not usual that you'll see that deck building mastermind actually put the result up as well. So they do a lot of drafting up there. He could make a run at this tournament.
It's very funny. He's not been telling people what his record is.
It's true. It's very funny.
And people have accused him of being superstitious, and he said it's not superstitious. It's proven that this works.
Well, it's like the results are what the results are. There's no superstitions about it. Anyway,
a couple of other big names also. Still, we're talking about 4-0s. Shado Yasuoka, former Player of the Year, 4-0, sitting right over there drafted. Cedric Phillips, sort of a well-known American player, and
oh, by the way, speaking of American players,
well-known American players, possibly the best player in the world right now.
Oh, Louie Vargas is playing better Magic than anybody, no question about it. He's 4-0, unbelievable. Continues the hot streak.
Yeah, black-white tokens.
Black-white tokens.
The deck he's playing.
Now, standard 4 rounds are over. Now we go to booster draft. Now, Conflux is really making its debut this weekend, for the Pro Tour anyway. What does Conflux do to the booster draft format? I mean, what's the buzz? What are people saying?
Well, people seem to really want to be Esper, right? This is people want to be like blue-white aggro Esper. They want to be, some people want to be black-white Esper. Okay, I want to be black-white Esper.
Me too.
People want to be even maybe
Darkwood Gargoyle, and you get the +1, Exalted. Now I can pump it twice. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's super exciting. But so many of the best cards in Conflux are Esper cards.
Yeah.
And you really want to set yourself up for those.
Sure.
A lot of players are fighting over that.
Okay.
There's still a group of people who love the 5-color good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Domain, right?
You've got Domain.
So there's a little more incentive to try to get 5 colors worth of mana, but at the same time, you get those Outlanders. And, I mean, every shard has now got these aggressive 2-drops that I think can really punish the 5-color strategy. Right. I'm not sure you have time to go 5-color. But that's just my side of the debate, maybe.
Absolutely.
I know lots of people would disagree.
And the mana's just gotten great. I mean, you've got Ancient Ziggurat, you've got Rupture Spire, you've got 5 different basic land cyclers.
Right.
So cards like Crederick Creeper and Woolly Thoctor and
those go up in value.
Those just have all gone up in value because you can really hit those on turn 3. One of the big problems with them in past formats is you kind of had to get, you had to have the panorama. There's just more density of cards that let you do that.
Fair enough. That's the Conflux booster draft format these guys are going to be playing now and tomorrow morning. Keep your browser tuned. There's a lot going on at this Pro Tour and a lot of interesting storylines to keep tabs on. So for Brian David Marshall, this is Randy Buehler saying stay tuned to the Tournament Center.